So this is the topic that I want us to discuss today, and the learning outcome, it covers complying with methods of minimizing waste, employing waste management procedures, following principles of 3 R's, that is reduce, reuse and recycle, and practicing methods for economizing resource consumption. So this is all about to demonstrate sustainable resource use. So it's all about waste management. So let's know first what is waste management. These are activities carried out to control unwanted or unusable materials from its inception to its proper disposal. It includes waste collection, transport, treatment, storage, and disposal, in conjunction with regulation and monitoring of the process as a whole. And then let's define what is resource consumption. Resource consumption, it is the usage of resources in any form to meet our own needs and wants. So consumption is it's spending for acquisition of utility of resources. So what is reduce, reuse and recycle? This is what I said, 3 R's. So reduce, it is when resources are utilized in a manner that limits the amount of waste created or toxicity of waste created. And reuse, it is a waste management concept that involves using resources again after cleaning up or treatment, although the items reused still end up as waste. By reusing them, waste produced at a given time is reduced and the lifespan of the item is expanded. And recycle, it is a process that involves converting already waste materials into a new material and products. So recycling prevents wastage of potentially useful materials and reduces the use of fresh raw materials. So the methods of minimizing wastage. Types of environmental resources, they are categorized in the following groups. A, we have renewable and non-renewable resources. Renewable resources, they are also known as infinite resources. These are resources that are consistently available despite their utilization. After usage, they can be fairly replaced or recovered. Examples we include air, water, vegetation, and energy from the sun. And then animals can also be categorized as renewable resource since they reproduce offsprings to replace the older generation. It is important to note that as much as these resources can be replaced, it may take a long period of time to do that, hence need of use then sustainable. And then renewable resources are further divided into 2 categories. We have organic renewable resources. These are those that are extracted from living things, that is plants and animals, and inorganic renewable resources, these come from non-living things like sun, wind, and water. Non-renewable resources, these are resources that cannot simply be recovered or substituted once they have been extracted and utilized or destroyed. They are also known as finite resources. Example includes minerals, fossil fuel. Even though minerals and fossil fuel occur naturally, they are categorized as non-renewable resource as their formation take a very long period of time Most recently, some animals, mostly the endangered species, are also regarded as non-renewable resources as they are the verge of extinction. And then B, remember one we have talked about renewable and non-renewable resources. B, we have biotic and abiotic resources. Biotic resources, these are resources that come from organic and non-living materials, that is the ecosphere. They include animals and plants and other materials obtained from them, such as fossil fuels, as they are produced from dead and decaying organic matter. And abiotic resources, these are resources generated from non-organic and non-living materials. The example of this is like water, land, air, and minerals. C is stock, reserve, actual, and potential resource. Stock resource, these are resources that are present and have been surveyed, but their usage is limited due to lack of technology to extract them. An example of such resources is a hydrogen. And reserve resource, these are resources that have been surveyed, and their quality and quantity determined, their quantity and quality determined, but are not currently being used. They are however to be developed for profit in the future. And when we talk, the other one that we are supposed to talk about is actual resource. When we talk about actual resource, sorry, when you talk about actual resource, these are resources present in a region whose quality and quantity have been surveyed and determined, and they are currently being used as the required expertise and technology is available. And then on this we have potential resource. These are resources whose knowledge and existence in a region is present and can be exploited in the future. So, for instance, in a region that is sedimentary rocks rich in petroleum, it is a potential resource and unit. Its actual quality and quantity is surveyed and determined from the above resources. We learn that environmental resources are classified according to the following criteria. 1, based on the renewability. 2, based on the resource of origin. 3, based on their development stage. So, sorry, so wastage minimization entails limiting the amount of waste that is produced, hence aiding in eliminating the production of harmful waste, effectively supporting efforts that promote a society that is sustainable. Minimizing waste includes a change of society pattern that relate to production of and consumption, as well as redesigning products to eliminate the generation of waste. So what is some of the benefits, or what is the benefit of minimizing waste? When we talk about the benefits of minimizing waste, it improved products quality. So innovations and new technological practices will not only reduce wastage but also contribute to improve quality input, leading to improved product. Another benefit of minimizing waste is economic benefits, efficiency, and effectiveness in resources in resources use translates to reduce the cost when it comes to purchasing value of products, hence affecting financial performance significantly. And then the third benefit of minimizing waste is efficiency of production practices. That's a point. So we want to explain it in this manner. Wastage minimization will attain more output of the product in relation to raw materials and environmental resources. And then another benefit of minimizing waste is environmental responsibility. Minimizing or eliminating wastage makes it easier for one to adhere to set environmental policies, regulation, and standards. And then lastly, from the benefits of minimizing waste, public image, that's a point of its own. So let me try to explain this. Which English can I use? So embracing wastage minimization of resource, it boosts an organization's image. It can be an organization or an institution, as it is a reflection of proactive movement in the bid to protect the environment. So waste management, waste minimization techniques. What are some of the techniques we can use to minimize waste? We have optimization of resources. This involves full exploration of resource once they are extracted from their natural setting. For example, a dressmaker will arrange the pieces of a pattern in a certain manner along the length of the fabric in the quest to use a small portion of the fabric. Optimization also includes use of all products achieved in the manufacturing or processing of the main products. These products include byproducts and waste products. Waste products and byproducts from one process are used as raw materials for the process. And then next, waste management technique, minimization technique, we have quality control improvement and process monitoring. Wastage minimization can be put in place to limit number of rejects and wastage generated. Can be attained through increased frequency of inspection and increase of inspection guidelines. So resource used in manufacture can be scrutinized through monitoring and evaluation, that is M&E, to make them more effective and efficient minimizing waste. This method of minimizing wastage are practically similar to the method of economizing or reducing resource consumption. Reducing or economizing resource consumption is a priority sustainability issue because we all share the burden of responsibility to leave the environment fit, if not better, for ongoing prosperity and quality of life for future generations. So waste management product, or no, let's talk about this waste management procedures following the principles of 3Rs. Do you remember in the first place that when we started the topic, we talked about the 3Rs, and I say the 3Rs stand for reduce, reuse, and recycle. These principles are the most commonly preferred methods of minimizing wastage. They are the set of commonly used techniques. So reduce, it calls for usage of resources that are just enough to cater to your needs. For example, Building a small house, it lowers the cost of resource consumption. Reducing can be attained through attaining accurate measurements to ensure that there is little or no wastage of the resource. The process of reducing begins with determining that what you are using and for what purpose. There are three simple steps used to assess the reduction value of an item, and they are: one, is there something else that can be used for this purpose? That is a question. Use a multi-purpose item in essential in reduction. So use of multi-purpose items in essential in reduction is essential in reduction. This reduces the amount of energy used for packaging materials used. And then, is there something that needs to be done? That's a question. A lot of waste materials are considered disposable in the sense that means whether or not the item allow you to do any real purpose or meaning. So the last one is the item a part of something that you need to do or want to do in your life? There is a limit. So I'm explaining on this question. The question is the item a part of something that you need to do or want to do in your life? So how do we explain this? There is a limit to what you need. There is a limit to what you need, yes, in preparation for your life. For example, when living in the forest, you won't need a car equipped to handle in desert sandstorm. That is sandstorm. Always make certain that what you use matches reality of potential opportunities in your life. Some of the things you can do to minimize wastage may include printing of both sides of the paper, using cloth napkins instead of proper paper napkins, and avoid using disposable utensils. So that is reduce. When we talk about reuse, it involves repurposing items for a useful different from what it is initially produced for. One appropriate example is that modular construction of homes and offices that is being created out of discarded shipping containers. And then recycling. Recycling means that an item will be transformed again into a raw material that can be shaped into a new item. The following approaches can be used to enhance effective recycling, and these are byproducts that are made up of recycled materials, like products that are environmentally friendly. And then buy recyclable products such as glass bottles, and then create and invent new method of recycling different items. Again, and then buy non-toxic products whenever possible, and then you buy items made from recycled materials. So, and finally, when we talk about recycling, I was giving you the approaches that you can use to enhance effective recycling. Lastly, use recycled paper for printing. So these are the methods for economizing or reducing resource consumption. One, measuring technique for current resource usage. Current usage of resource needs to be measured as most of these resources are exhaustible, meaning they are available in a limited quantity and can be used up. Measuring techniques are thus crucial in order to avoid depletion. Currently, there is a huge tug of war centered in resource depletion, increased scarcity, that is, and the exploitation of resource. A measuring technique involves a six-stage process that involves understanding your current resource consumption and wastage production, understanding how to measure it using the data, and ultimately making informed decisions. And then, so let's talk about these stages. Stage 1, understanding resource consumption and waste production. So this is undertaken in two parts: initial review and process mapping. Initial review helps in gathering basic information. It assists one to understand how various resources are being used, in highlighting areas that can be improved on. And process mapping, having acquired an insight from the initial review, process mapping helps to control resource stage by adapting the most effective and most efficient and effective resource consumption to minimize waste collected, cost and environmental impact. Stage 2 is data collection. This stage involves quantifying the exact amount of resource used. Some of the data collected may be exact figures while others may be estimated depending on nature of the resource. In acquisition, data can be collected by taking measurements, estimating financial data and bills and mass balances. Stage 3, this is now about data analysis. This section involves managing and collecting the data previously collected. Collected data is represented in tables, graphs, and charts. Stage 4, data interpretation. This stage involves relenting data analysis to measuring indicators such as carbon matrix and carbon footprints. It outlines the current resource usage with trends coping up in the sector. So stage 5 is summary. It involves coming up with conclusion of the process in relation to knowledge gathered from the data. It helps to identify priority areas to target and how to go about target setting and to plan on improving on resource consumption to be sustainable. And then stage 6, review and progress communication. This section involves giving a way forward from all you have gained from the process. A report is developed outlining the whole process and how or what next from the knowledge gained. So I think from there we are done with a measuring technique process. It has 6 stages. So the most commonly used measuring technique of current resource usage in environment resource, it is accounting. It is a subject of accounting proper Its target being to incorporate both environment and economic information. It is a field that identify usage of resource measurements and communicates um, communicates cost of a company's or national economic impact of the environment. Costs include clean up or reclaim of contaminated sites, environmental fines, penalties and taxes, purchase of pollution prevention technologies and cost of waste management. So in conclusion, this learning outcome covered methods of minimizing waste, waste management procedure following the principles of 3 R's, that is reduce, reuse and recycle, and methods of economizing or reducing resource consumption. So as I have shared with you, you should be able to come up with innovation to enhance all of this that we have discussed. So, we have shared about uh, waste management, and here I can give you some two challenging questions that if you will feel free at your own time, you can discuss or you can just brainstorm at your own comfort zone until you get the better understanding of it. So my question one is, explain the principles of 3 R's according to environmental resource, giving examples. And then the next question is, brief outline the types of environmental resources. And lastly, give 3 examples of measuring techniques of current resource usage. So those are some of my 3 questions that I really wanted to give you. So lastly, I want to tell you that environment management is very important to you as an individual. If you keep your environment clean, even you personally, you are going to be clean. Remember that environment is very important in a sense that it may lead not one to get infections. So if you are clean, you will not get infected. Remember that this if the environment it is unclean, it can lead to so many diseases or infections. Even seasons like rainy seasons can lead to so many diseases. Like if it rains, the drainage can carry the waste from whenever it has been placed to the rivers, and the diseases they will be there. Mosquitoes, they like a very dirty place. So if you just throw your waste in an open area where it is watery, mosquitoes they like there, so you will end up getting different diseases. You can even get amoeba from this disease, from this waste. So it is good to keep all the waste in a good manner, and then we manage them by reducing, recycling, and yes, by the 3 R's. I want to finish with storage method. So when I talk about storage method, environmental health requirements, materials should be stored in a manner that does not harm or threaten human health or environment. It is in line with this the storage method of environmentally hazard materials are considered. These methods are storing in tanks and containers. Containers are portable, whereas tanks are stationary. Tanks and containers chosen for storage should meet the following criteria: good condition, closed or sealed, chemically compatible, and then they should be impervious surface, no flow drains, and then under cover. So that is like if outside. And then Container management involves can only accumulate in containers and tanks. That is criteria for container choices. And then we have inspection logo. We have adequate else space not less than an adjacent distance of 2 feet. And then we have container, that is like tank making. And then storage time be less than 90 days. And then outdoor security measurings such as controlled entry and barrier creation. And then we have on-site waste storage facilities. They include open waste pipes and ponds. Most must most or for so must be constructed over an impervious base and be in compliance with regulatory requirements. The pile must be protected from weather conditions such as wind, rain, and direct sunshine used to store temporary hazardous waste before disposal. Open pit for holding pond, that is like lagoons. They are used to store temporarily hazard liquid waste. Lagoons must be lined with impervious soils to groundwater and must be protected by flexible membrane liners. So disposal methods is like incineration. This is now disposal methods for waste. We have like incineration. This involves burning the substance in high temperatures. Incineration destroys and terminates most of the waste. This method is beneficial as flammable waste can also be used as energy source when burned. The backside that comes the backside that comes with the incineration is the release of toxic gases to the environment. This has however been solved by the current technology, which has developed more efficient incinerator units that limit the amount of emission released. And then recycling. E-waste is mostly disposed in the form for example, part of the deep phone or computer may be used to fix a broken down phone or computer. And then we have landfill disposal. This technique involves storing solid waste into the ground. Landfill for hazardous waste are lined with a double layered non-porous materials such as clay and inhibit leaching. For after dumping, the landfills are covered we are covered to prohibit animals such as rodents and insects from entering. Unfortunately, this method occupies a huge space. So dumping to sea, this is another disposal method. Dumping at sea. Hazardous waste is disposed into a deep sea after treatment to minimize its impact on groundwater resource. This method, however, is currently under heavy scrutiny or even banned around the world to preserve the blue economy. And then we have underground disposal, termed to be the most ideal and economical for radioactive waste. It is only conducted on inhabitable land such as inactive mines, which must meet the particular geological and technical criteria, and it involves reinjection of injecting the hazardous waste deep into the ground. They are also referred to as injection wells. So the hazardous waste that can use this method, they include medical treatments, brine from mining of radioactive ores, and production of nuclear fuel. So PPEs PPEs, when you talk about PPEs, this is personal protective equipment like mask, gloves, gauze, safety belt. We have overall hearing protection. And the usage according to OSH. When we talk about OSH, this is now occupation standard for health service. So personal protective equipment is protective clothing or garments or instruments designed to protect the body of the wearer. The wearer is the person wearing it from hazards that may cause injury or infection. It should be noted that PPE does not eliminate the hazard or danger to the source, but rather protects the wearer's body in case of hazardous happens. That is, an accident happens. PPEs are provided under the occupational safety and health standards. So that the following should be considered when selecting the using of PPE. First is who and what is exposed, duration of exposure and extent of exposure. And the types of these PPEs: for the eyes we have spectacles, we have face screens, we have goggles, we have face shield, visions. Hazards, they include hazard for eyes, we have dust, metal or chemical splash, we have radiation, gas and fever. And for the hand and neck, we have the dump cap, helmets. Hazards, they include impacts from falling of flying objects, risk of head dump and drips and splashes. And then for the ears, we have ear muff, we have earplug, we have semi-insect or canal caps. And then the hazard for the ear, we have, they are like, they include noise, that is companies, duration, intensity and exposure time. For the hand and arm, we have gloves and gauntlets. These hazards include cuts, punctures, abrasion, electric shock, radiation, extreme temperature. And we have feet and leg. We have safety books, that is their hazard, they may include sleeping, that slippery, cuts. We have punctures, failing objectives, splashes and vehicles. And then for the lungs, we have respiratory protective equipment, RPE. The hazards include toxic gas and dust. And lastly, for the whole body, we have the overall covering the disposable, boiler suits, aprons. The hazard for this includes heat, splash, spray impact and enlargement of own cloth. So at the end, the conclusion for this is that at the end of this learning outcome, we have learned on MCAC regulatory storage and disposal of environmental hazard materials, classification of hazardous materials and waste to know how best to store and dispose them. So you should be able to know that occupation standard for health services entails and how it is used to perform its role. So you should be able to provide personal protective equipment for various working environments in accordance with OSH and environmental regulations. Thank you for watching my video up to the end. Please like, comment, subscribe and share widely. Thank you and be blessed.